All right, so since we're not having anyone in the chat just yet, I'm going to go ahead and begin this tutorial. And what will happen here is that this live stream will be posted on our website in a archive format. So what we're going to end up trying to do here is create almost like a catalog of different tutorials. So for this one, we're beginning with our WeVideo component. So for those of you that aren't aware, we just recently purchased WeVideo for the entire district, and we essentially have everybody in there in terms of accounts. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and get started with this tomorrow. Now, just like with everything I always say, like it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes there'll be some hiccups and all that. That's what I'm going to try and do here, is kind of mitigate some of those things you'll run into and address some of the problems that you might have from the onset. So first, let's kind of get through this tutorial link here. So if you'll notice there on the bottom left of your screen, there's that tiny URL. That is this slide deck that I'm showing you right here. So if you okay, so if you want access to that, you go to tinyurl.com/YANLNEMW. That'll take you directly to it, and then you can have this at whatever time you want. Now, this tutorial here will be more specific as to what we're trying to do here, and it'll walk you through the entire process, and I'll post this in the archive, and I'll archive it so you guys can come back to it at any time. While we get, if people stop us and have questions while I'm doing this tutorial, then we'll address those at the time, and then I'll try and cut this together to be like a more concise video. So WeVideo is video editing software on the Chromebooks. So it's, for us, it's perfect because obviously we have tons and tons of Chromebooks. And so what I'd like to do is kind of get going on how to get started. So again, this slide deck that I'm going through, if you want access to it, that tiny URL will be the whole time, and then you can essentially get to it at any time. If you don't want to watch the video, you prefer to have something else. So with WeVideo, you'll notice here this first component is it looks exactly like you would expect any kind of video editor to look like. It has the tracks. It's got these things here for video, 2 video slots, and then an audio slot. It's, again, great for complex editing and also some basics, and we'll go through with that component. I'm going to exit out of the slide deck here, and I'm going to go straight to the tutorial by going to the website. So this is exactly how you would log in. You go to wevideo.com. Okay, I'm going to wait till that loads. And then you're going to go Google. So this is exactly the same way that students are going to do this. You go wevideo.com, and then when you go to log in, you just click on Google. Now, there is a little thing. If you've already used this before with your students, or your students have previously, there might be an extra step or two. Go ahead and email me directly, and I can take care of that for you. Essentially all I need to do is remove their account and re-add it. So it's not terribly complex, but it is something to keep in mind. So as you're kind of going through this, it'll take a load. You might look slightly different than what I have here, because I already have a couple things built in here. So again, if you have something slightly different, you probably just have create new. It'll probably walk you through a couple components, but that's what I'm going to do here to kind of walk you. So we begin with the overlay here. So your dashboard, okay, this is where you go to get to this home page here. It's got everything you essentially need, and it'll tell you how much space is being used, storage, all that good stuff. And then here's the stuff that you've been working on recently. Now, teachers have what's called a lead account. So you have a couple different rights that your students won't. For example, you can make groups, and you can add your students to it. I'll walk you through that process here. What that allows you to do is essentially, if you wanted to make a video component that has multiple parts, or they're collaborating and doing that kind of stuff, perfect for that, because then they can all contribute simultaneously, and they can edit their own software. They can edit their own videos at the same time, add, upload videos and do all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of nice the way that's what the upgraded feature allows us to do. And I'll walk you again through what that is. Then I've got projects, media, videos. you may not have the admin side. Don't worry about that part. So projects, this is stuff that you're working on. This is then the shared with me. So if someone shares a project with you, this is where you can go through it. So this is kind of nice because just like with Google, we can have our colleagues share things with us that then we can work at the same time. So if they share a project with you, you then see that and you can go ahead and add that to it. So it's kind of a nice thing. Now, from there, you have media. So this is where you would go to just upload different videos. So if you have stuff on your phone that you want to put up there, different images, you have that there. You have videos here. All right, so any videos that you've had, this is the testing different video stuff. And so there's you kind of go to. So let's go back to the dashboard. All right, so as it finishes loading there, once I've got my, back to my dashboard, let's go to create new. So this is just, again, basic walkthrough here of what your kids can do with it, and then also what you can do with it. So video edit, this is more for just straight, I want to make a video. Projects, obviously, just when you're trying to compile different things, you can create a project, and you can share the project and do those kind of things. We're going to begin with a video edit, just something basic to kind of get through. Click video edit and then hit next. Here, while it decides, all right, and I'm going to go and choose a project. So these, you'll notice here that these little people here, that's because it's collaborative and you have that. You can start on a project. You can do all the projects, shared projects, so on and so forth. I'm going to just go with this first one here and then go start editing. Load for a second. And that's another thing. I do want to make you aware that this is on the Chromebook. I'm running this, the device that I'm on, even though it looks like I'm looking away. This is my PC, but I'm actually working on the Chromebook itself because I want you to see exactly what the kids would see and what you're going to see. It's not, you don't have to run it from a PC. It doesn't have to be from a Mac, although you can, but it does work on the Chromebooks, right? So expect a little bit of that. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag. We experience that. I always recommend, doing stations as opposed to just having 40 students doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. Sometimes that can be bandwidth heavy, so keep that in mind. All right, so now we get to this this interface. This is our dashboard. This is where you're going to see that you can add different things. This is what we call the basic editing component, and it's pretty straightforward. You go ahead and add different tiles here, and then you can add some music to it. Right, pretty nice. And you'll see here in a second what this really means, as opposed to the complex version. They're both good. They both work. It's just one of them's simpler. All right, so let's go right here. So this is the theme. This is again, just an easy way to almost make it look a little bit more polished. It gives you kind of these overlays. So let's go. I'm going to pick punk rock here. And then I'm going to just click use this theme, right? And it gives you kind of that quick little drop right on top of what you have. And so every time you add something, you'll see that it does that. So here's my sample title. Just looks a little grungy, right? That's all it does. So it adds a little bit of that, a different look to it. It won't get old right away, but they're there. Now, once we have that part, we can get to the audio. I love that WeVideo gives us some stock things here, and you can add different themes, the free music, sound effects, all that good stuff. So when you click on nature, and then I go winter morning, right? I can listen to it, obviously I'm not, but there you go. And I'm going to use that track. Now I just added music. So I've got a title slide, and then I've got some music, very basic stuff. And then now I'm going to add an image. I'm going to grab this from the internet here. Well, actually, that's a video. Let me grab this image here and then just drag it over. See, it's drag and drop interface. It's just a picture. I dragged it on top. So now I've got this little mini video with some sound on it. Looks like this. preview, and then you can see sample title, transitions over to the picture that I have. And again, because I have that grungy look, that's kind of why you see that. So again, drag and drop, really simple interface, really great way to spice up some of these things that we're trying to do in the classroom. Now, you also have this voice recording component, and I really like this because it'll allow you to, so if students drag images over it, then they can just talk over it and do their thinking, explain your thinking, reflect on this, or what did you learn when you're doing this research project here. So it's really simple to kind of get that going. I put some images in, and then I hit record, and then boom, good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that here, just so you can kind of see. You do have to allow the microphone. Okay, and then go. All right, you get a countdown. And test. I am testing the voice overlay on top of the video that I'm trying to make. Stop. Okay, you can preview it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it's going to be fine. And then now I have it. So I've added music, some text, and then an image. So in a nutshell, that is the basic. You add images, you throw some music over it, and then you can do a voiceover. That is the basic version of what we're trying to do. Any kind of videoing, it's a bunch of images. You can also drop video to it. It doesn't have to be just the images that you put on there, which is perfectly fine. More than just images with a video. But so that's what this was. I didn't want to drag it over because it might take a little bit here to add. But you can do any videos and then just drag it in here. Now to edit the title, okay, because you saw that was just said sample title. You just click on the image that you want or the title, and then open the editor. Okay, and there it goes. So instead of it saying sample title, I'm going to say testing the video. You can change the font down here. So if you want something else, let's change it to this. Okay, and then I can make it bold. I can make it smaller, larger. I can change the color, just like any other text editor that you want to see. And then once you're done editing, you hit. All right, and so now I'm going to hit the space bar to preview. And it says testing WeVideo, and then transitions over to. And that's it for changing the title. Now, you can also edit the length of your images. So if you want the image to be longer, you can drag the image and it'll just put that image in longer. Now, I know it doesn't look like it changed because these are still the same size, but instead of the time frame that was now, it's added to 10 seconds. So same thing, I'm going to drag this over so you can see that. I have my transition. I'm going to go prepare video. Here we go, testing WeVideo, transition over to my now 10-second image of this thing. So you'll notice that it takes longer to get there. All right, so looks pretty straightforward. Hopefully you got that, and again, you can always rewind to see anything. So this is just this basic interface here. I'm not doing anything besides playing with this. And this is, again, we're in the basic mode. We're not doing anything too crazy just yet. Now, let's move up to this dashboard up here. So you have My Media, which is this is just stuff that you can pull from your computer, that you can download images, all that good stuff. Now, if you want to upload something, that's what this green import media button is. So do that. Now, you can import from Google Drive, which is perfect because everyone in the district has access to Google Drive. So if you click on it, it'll ask for some permissions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now just so you can kind of see that. And I'm walking you through the component here. And there it goes. So it's going to ask you to authorize. You're going to say allow. You're going to want to make sure that, that you give it the right permissions and allow what it needs to do. Okay. Hopefully it goes. All right, so now it's pulling up my Google Drive. And so I can pull, if I have any images, so if students are taking pictures on their phones, putting it in Google Drive, then they can access them. The iPad, same thing, their iPhones. So as long as they have access to Google Drive from their mobile device, then they can move it over to their Google Drive stuff. So you'll notice here, these are my folders that I have, and now we can choose from. I'm not going to pull anything, but you get the idea. You can pull from Google Drive. Now, if you don't want to pull from Google Drive, say it's directly on the computer, then you can just hit Browse to select, and then once you do the Browse to select component, then you'll see that you got these options are just whatever's on the Chromebook. So remember that if you're on your desktop, it'll pull from what's on the desktop. If you're on your Chromebook, it's pulling whatever's on the hard drive of your Chromebook. And again, those aren't really large spaces, so a lot of times we don't have too many things, but it is possible to have them. So I go to downloads here. I don't have anything downloaded on here, but that's where it would show up. All right. Now, once I've finished that there, I'm going to go over here to the text component. Okay, and so these are, I like these because they're motion tiles. They're really good for like lower thirds and upper thirds if you want to do things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag one of these over. Give it a second here to load. And then here's what it looks like. So essentially with these lower thirds, it gives you an option to essentially put text in the background or put something in the background and then put some text right on top of it. So it looks just like that. And then you can obviously change the text. So it gives you, it's more important when you get to the advanced component. And then I'll show that again. But these are motion tiles. You got static ones too. The static tiles are just like what they sound like, just text on the screen somewhere. And then you can add annotations. This is one thing that iMovie lacks, is that a lot of times it's difficult to get images on top of images. And so this allows you to do text boxes right on top of images that you have, or even videos that you have. And so you can point things out. Arrows, boxes. And then I've got my gallery here. Okay, and then again, it's just more options. You got overlays now, frames. There's a good amount of stuff in here to kind of play with. These are just almost like stickers for Instagram type stuff. So you have that ability to do that. So now that you kind of gone through this, we'll get to finish here in a second. I want to show you now the advanced version of what this is going to look like. So I click on main menu. This is the three little lines. Sometimes we call that the hamburger. Okay, and it's just a regular menu. You've got open recent, save things. That's one thing to note, that it doesn't automatically save the same way that you would think. I would hit Control S or save when you get a chance. It does save, but it doesn't. So what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you're constantly hitting save as you're kind of going through. It will save some stuff and it does revisions and things like that. But if you accidentally close something, be prepared that some stuff might get lost. So you want to teach the kids to save and use that stuff, or use that feature correctly when they're using it. So again, in your menu, you got delete. All right, so we were in what's called storyboard. That's the basic, the simple version. And then we've got timeline mode. So the way that I see storyboard, it's for a quick and easy reflection. It's great for things like images, voiceovers, things like that. With the timeline mode, though, you'll see that it's more of a real video editor, and it gives you multiple tracks. So it brought in the stuff that I had previously. So those images, nothing gets lost when you transition over. Although the reverse is not true. If you go from storyboard and timeline, you're okay, but timeline to storyboard, you might lose some stuff. So keep that in mind. Essentially, what this allows me to do, it gives me multiple tracks, and so if I'm doing video on top of video, then I can kind of interlace them and then transition over nicely. So what I want to show you with that is this component here. So I'm going to take the text here that I had, the primary text, and drag it on top of my images here. Okay, and then now I'm going to take the whole thing. I can actually drag both of these off too. So you'll notice how nothing snaps. It's not like the other one where it just allowed you to do that without any record. You can just go ahead and click on it and then grab it. So I'm going to highlight both of these, and then from here, I'm going to drag it to right next to the transition. Okay. Oops, I'm going to go too early. So when you're adding these things over, they do have a snap to them. You'll see that as you're kind of playing with it, and they do get some getting used to. I always prefer a mouse. I prefer to edit from my PC instead of a Chromebook. Obviously, the students don't have that choice, but they seem to be fine with it, whereas we struggle with it, but they're usually pretty good about it. So, all right, now that I've dragged, I just took one. Now I'm going to move the other one here. Okay, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you, just so you can throw the image, okay, right to the back and then overlay the primary text right on top of it. Okay, and what that allows you to do then is if you're recording some type of interview, you can then put the text at that lower third of their body, and then like you can do a name, title, things like that, and then that allows them to kind of have that overlay. It's kind of nice. So you'll notice that now, because I've done that, I have these two different right on top of each other, and then I can add multiple. Then you have audio separately, so that's kind of nice too. You can add your music and all that directly from here, and I'll grab some music. I'm going up to the top now because now I've got this component here built in as opposed to earlier what was down below. So I'm going to grab one of these, right, and then drop it down here. And just like before, if you want to cut, there's the theme music, and it automatically kind of fades it off at the end of the thing here, but you have that music kind of built in, and then you can cut it and do all that kind of stuff. The audio is kind of like before. The audio allows you to do the voiceover, so if you wanted to do that, or you wanted your students to do the voiceover, they still have that option, but now you get this complexity of being able to do multiple videos right on top of them and then transition. So for those of you that are working on video projects, anything Digicom related, if you want to get a little bit more complex with it, it definitely has that capability, and it looks pretty good. So here's my little snippet of video that I've made so far. I'm just going to hit play here. So that's all it is. So that overlay allowed you to do that. So put video on top of video, images on top of images. I can then cut the images if I want, and I get a little bit more flexibility. So that's kind of the video editing walkthrough. Again, we're not doing anything too crazy here. Just wanted to kind of show what it does and the capabilities, and then allow you to kind of create with it. So now I'm going to go back to our dashboard here. Well, actually, let me show you the finish. So after you're finished with your video, you can set the title and then share it. Now, because we now have the upgraded version, we do have that 720p HD quality that you can produce from. So that's nice. And then you can automatically save it to your Google Drive. They can go directly to YouTube. Most likely, most of us are just going to use Google Drive. You can even set the thumbnail if you want, and then hit finish. Right, and so essentially what it's doing is just saving the video, right? So it's a great way to get the kids getting into the video, have them create some content, and then develop a lot of the Digicom projects and things like that you want. So, all right, so while it loads, we'll just let's get back to the dashboard, because what I want to show here is that on your projects and different things that you want to do, you can actually create groups for different projects. You can create groups for just one video. It's really, the sky's the limit as to how you want to do that. So all right, I'm going to start something new. Let's go to view my projects. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and now that I'm in projects mode, I'm going to either create a new project or create a new folder. All right, and so this is where you get that capability to add the collaborative thing. This is huge, because this is part of any Common Core, anything. It's always talking about collaboration, and this is just like Google. It gives you some of that real-time collaboration. You don't have to be working in the same room at the same time. It can be at your own pace. So a lot of our sites that are going 24/7, you have that ability to get to that point where now you can assign stuff and say, hey, here's the video. You did your storyboard in the classroom. Now let's take it to your home, and you can do some of the video editing there. So that's your homework. Homework is to finish your video editing, or however you want to structure it, obviously. So you have personal, which is just for you, right? If you just wanted to make a video on your own. Collaborative, it's members can create, view, and edit any video. So anyone you share that with has that ability. And then share. Now this one's the one that's interesting. So if I'm a teacher, right, and I want my kids to each make a video on the same topic, I can do shared, and then everyone has their own videos, right? But they can't edit each other. But then I have one spot where I can see everyone's videos at any time. So I like that it seems very practical in how I would imagine that most of us would want to use it. I create the topic like exploring Egypt, or exploring any kind of topic, right? And then you then assign it to the kids see it, and then you add them to the group. Now, so I'm going to do that here. I'm going to say, and I'm going to go to my app here, slope intercept form, and then give it a description. Testing, shared. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm going to click shared here and hit next. All right, so now you got to share the project, right? You got to get it to the kids. One of the ways to do it, which is I mean, it's an option, is to select them or select groups that you've already created. So you may want to create the groups first and then just add the groups there. Or you can invite with a link. Now, for a lot of us, because we're using Google Classroom, this might be the best way to do it. You give them the link, then from there, boom, they get to go, and it's just. So I click invite link, and then I hit next. All right, and so while it loads, let it do its thing. So when you're adding members directly, though, keep in mind that it's easier. I mean, you have to find them. So if you have their their videos and all that stuff set up, and you want them to kind of work on it together, you have to find their names. That could be a bit cumbersome, but it is doable. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a video here, and then hit next. Okay, and then there's a link. So this is all I would want to give to my students. Get the video, get the link from them, copy that into Google Classroom, and then students have the ability to then go into your group and do what they need. So I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to hit finish. All right, and then this is my exploring slope intercept form. And you'll see again that any projects that you have will have that title. You can see who's editing. You can see the videos that are in there, the members of the group, right? So if a student doesn't show up in there, then you can then add them because maybe they didn't click the link, they're absent, or whatever the excuse is. You click there, and then you can add them again manually. So this is what it looks like. So once you share the link and that didn't work, then you have to go and put it manually. Then you can do that. Too. You can search. I'm going to go ahead and look for my son here. You'll notice here too, this is users versus leads. So you as a teacher are a lead, and then students are users. So you'll see here that these are all the students named Fabian, and then I can then select them from a group here. You'll see other teachers as well. So if you wanted to add teachers on the same project, again, really, really great for that collaboration component. Pick your student, hit add selected. Now that student is part of the group, right? So it's a really great way to truly collaborate on different projects. And once you kind of break down that door, if you have to be there at the same time, everyone has to do it. While I'm doing it, you can really do some interesting things. So homework can be redefined pretty nicely. The project link does show up at the bottom here. It's covered up by that tiny URL, but it does show up also, so you can always have that project link and share it back out to Google Classroom if you're doing that. And so you get a little bit of visibility into what your students are doing at all times when you create these projects. My recommendation is to not add every single student to every single project. Allow them to create some groups for them, and then put them in and do it per project instead of everyone at the same spot, because that can be a little messy. Although it's a possibility, you have all those options at your beck and call. So, all right, that is WeVideo in a nutshell. It has some really good features. I'm curious to know what you guys are going to be doing with this, because I know that there's a lot of people using Digicom and or working on Digicom projects, and so this is a great way to incorporate it, because everyone has Chromebooks, everyone's working on that. The higher level people might want to get to something like the higher editing softwares like Camtasias and the sort. But for most of us that have the Chromebooks, I prefer them. Maybe I don't want to go to the craziest level possible. I'm just trying to incorporate some video because I want students reflecting. I want them really putting together a project. I want them thinking about the process, not necessarily the end result. And then this WeVideo allows me to then do that with my views into it, by creating the group, by being able to see how they're working, watch the process develop. You get a little bit more of that progressive assessment or a formative assessment, as opposed to just at the end result waiting to see what that movie is going to look like at the end. And now we have that window into what's happening every day, who's making the edits, what are they working on, and then give them that feedback in real time. So it's been really nice. I'm glad that we got it for the whole district. It does have that capability. If you have students that aren't on there for some reason, you can't find the kids, you can't, I don't know, their names are weird. Stuff you'll notice. There's some hiccups. Email me directly. I'm taking care of that myself, and I can add them, and yourself if you're having trouble with your own accounts, or reach out to a Tech TOSA. We definitely love visiting classrooms and helping you guys out with anything that you might need. So if this is something you're interested in and you want a little bit more support, maybe in classroom help with a little bit of that planning, then we have that capability. So let us know if there's something. The email for us is techtosa@psusd.us, or you can email us individually. Most of you guys are already kind of doing that, so you probably already know. Now, this slide deck, so again, I went through that video. This is going to be a 30-minute video at this point. But if you don't want to kind of go through that, you have these clean looking dashboard, everything that I just talked about in text format. And it's got a lot of the step-by-step tutorial components to it. So anything that I might have glossed over, went a little too fast, you have this, and that tiny URL down there is how you get to this slide deck. And it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, anything that you need help with, let us know. All right, so that'll conclude this time frame here. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.